Welcome back to Investing and Trading Live, sponsored by Online Trading Academy. As always, my name is Josh Lilquist. In that last segment, we were getting into some different concepts on income strategies by having the right setups so that you can still do this on top of your job. You can still trade and invest and have an income strategy even if you have that 9 to 5. I was mentioning a conversation I had with someone on the airlines on someone that was talking about corporate America and just different things that people are doing and seeing, and in complacency. And so many people are complacent, he was saying. They're comfortable with not having hardly anything. But he was talking about, and I was kind of talking about in the last segment as well, you don't realize that, or the effects of complacency until later on, until it's too late. But so now we're seeing so many people come into these investing classes to take action and be proactive rather than reactive. So if you missed tickets for that class and that insiders kit that we're giving away here today, you can just text the word investing to the number 210 for 2 seats for this class. Text investing to the number 210 for 2 seats. When you do that, you'll get a text right back. It'll say, welcome to Investing and Trading Live, and it'll have a link with our landing page. That way you can pick your own date. I get it. People are busy, but you know what? You will always, you always have something to do. Why not have something to build your future? So Al, we were talking about more so income strategies in that last segment. And I want to get into wealth building strategies here today. Now, I mentioned earlier that how you build wealth is actually having multiple sources of income. It's actually extra income that actually builds that wealth. And we're seeing, kind of flipping the script here a little bit, we are seeing a lot of people working many, many hours. There are people out there working hard, working hard to try to earn extra money, working more hours, especially if they're hourly, trying to gain extra capital to build that wealth bucket, whether it's a 401k or an IRA. And I just want to talk about a little something I saw on the old interweb the other day. I believe it was LinkedIn. And it really made a lot of sense. And it kind of made me think about how do we help people not just work hard or smart? How do you help them work right? And here was the quote. It said, in 30 years, the only people who will remember that you worked late every single night is going to be your kids. Now think about that for a second.
And your wife.
And your wife. Now think about that for a second. People are working hard. They're working many, many hours trying to gain some extra, monies, trying to build that wealth bucket. And they're not just working hard, they think they're working smart. But I want to talk about working right, because there are strategies to use the market to try to build your portfolio on your own. And it's having the right setup, as we're talking about with the income strategies, but also to do that same thing in those retirement accounts, because a lot of people do have good retirement accounts. Some people have several hundreds of thousands of dollars in their account. Some people have several millions, and they still feel they're not going to have enough to retire because it's based off your lifestyle. So it's all relative to how you live. So when you have people come into the academy, Al, and they are trying to build that wealth bucket, and they want to be able to have their job and still be able to do that, but they don't want to have those late nights every single night and miss out on family. So they want to have the opportunity to build that wealth with the market. How do you help people cross that bridge to be able to have those opportunities so they're not missing out on family time?
Yeah, well, it gets back or down to the value of time. Time is probably the most valuable asset we have that decays every day, and none of us know how much of that we have. You mentioned, the last thing you think about when on your last days is how great it was that you spent so much time at work. Your kids are going to notice that, your wife's going to notice that. So how do you not do that but still be able to retire comfortably? Because think about it, for your retirement accounts and your 401k accounts, you have to contribute what?
I wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
I figured that's why I asked you that question. No, but if you have a 401k or a retirement account, what do you have to put into it? What do you contribute to it? What is it called?
Contributions.
It's
Money.
money.
Yeah.
Money. It's
Boy,
money.
the fun
So
thing about this show, Al, is,
yeah,
is he wants me to listen and interact with him, and sometimes I
that's
just I look off through the window and I don't even listen.
yeah. Occasionally we catch you snoring.
Once in a while.
Okay, but here's the point I'm making: if you have to, if you have to contribute money to a retirement account, but all of your money goes to paying bills and staying alive, maybe raising kids. Kids are not cheap to raise, but if you don't have money left over after all your bills are paid, that retirement wealth bucket stays
Yeah,
empty.
it's that extra
It,
money.
absolutely. So, how do you do that? How do you generate enough extra money to live now the way you want to, and then have enough money to put into a retirement account so when in retirement you live the way you want to, or maybe
Hmm.
even increase the quality of your lifestyle in retirement? The most important component, there's two components to your financial life. There's the income component and the wealth component.
Yep.
And in of those two, the income component is the most important because you can't even have the wealth part of it unless you have additional or enough income
So
to
you need
fund it.
so you need to work right, not just
You
harder
need to
or smarter.
exactly. How do you work right? Well, you use things that give you the opportunity to increase the amount of income you have without putting a lot of extra time into it. Not going to an extra job, but being able to do this in maybe a more passive way where it's almost as though you have a little machine that is just spinning money out to you on a regular basis.
So those strategies that you're talking about, but you do need money though. So a lot of people think, oh, I don't have enough money to do that.
Yeah.
How do you use leverage and maximize your
Well, that's
capital?
a great point. If people are looking at the market, the stock, and by the way, when we talk about the market, the markets, we're talking about a huge component of financial, or a huge number of financial components. It's the stock market, the bond market, real estate market. It's the futures market, the foreign exchange market, the options market. Those are all part of what we call the financial markets. And those are assets or strategies within those assets that can be used to generate that additional income. Most people that we see come into classes are familiar with the stock market. They may not understand it or know how to take advantage of it, but they know they've heard of the stock markets. They know about mutual funds because that's probably what's in a 401k if they have one.
Hmm.
But the other things that I mentioned, like options and futures and the foreign exchange market, those are assets that have short term, the ability to generate profits in a short term time period, but also with a smaller amount of money. The stock market, a lot of the companies, the big companies, and I mentioned a number of them in the first segment, Microsoft, Apple, Netflix, we talked about Tesla,
Hmm.
NVIDIA, Google, Amazon, those companies are very expensive. So if you want to have a position that gives you enough potential for decent profits, most people can't afford that. But the great thing is there are ways of generating really good profits or the potential for great profits with a small amount of money.
So those strategies that you're talking about is just the different assets
The
using
different
that, right?
assets and leverage was the word that you mentioned. Leverage just means it's sort of like putting a down payment on something. You don't have to come up with the full amount of an investment to benefit from it.
I think I was explained last or a couple of weeks ago on leverage is kind of like Popeye eating spinach.
Yeah, yeah. That's correct. You did do that. It's sort of people understand a mortgage. That's basically what it is. It's like a mortgage, the down payment on a mortgage, but in the financial markets. Who's using those things? Well, your broker probably is. If you have a portfolio with a broker, whether it's a investment portfolio or your retirement portfolio, they are using these assets, these leveraged assets, but they're not teaching you about them. And there's a number of reasons for that, and one of which is just that they don't have the time to do it because we're talking about things that you can get into and out of on a short-term basis. If you're looking for additional income, by the way, think about it. Is income something that you can rely on in 20 or 30 years to pay for something now? Obviously not. If you're looking for additional income, it has to be something that you can achieve the benefits of in a short-term period.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned that too, Al, because a lot of people think that they have to keep their money in the market and just hold it for the long term. Well, eventually you have to take those profits, as I do, and kind of end a lot of the podcast segments. I say, protect your losses when they're small, and Take your profits when they're given to you. You
Right.
have to be able to take that. It's just like when you go to a job, you want to get paid, and you get paid either weekly or biweekly. And in the market, the strategies for the market have that same concept, but a lot of people just don't know what they are. And that's why when you teach those classes that we're giving away seats for, you explain that and you show how that's done, so that way people know what is actually possible. Is it a get rich quick thing? No, there's no such thing. But if you want longevity, if you want to have the opportunity to have more choices in that retirement time, now is the time to actually start and not be complacent and just wait until you get to that time and say, honey, I wish we had have done something different. So text right now. Text the word investing to the number 210 for 2 seats and that insider's kit that has those picks in there to show you and illustrate to you how that actually works, so you can see it as a visually rather than just us talking about it, because we're seeing more and more people are visual learners. Text investing to the number 210 for 2 seats. Al, I don't know if you have anything special coming up here, but I want to get into and inspire people to actually take action. We talked a little bit about complacency in that second segment. I want to talk about how to take action and to do that now. We'll be right back.